Hello and welcome to In Depth. I'm Teena Jha. In 1988, the first Shatabdi Express was introduced in India. Back then, it was a revolution in Indian railways that ushered a fast, comfortable way of completing intercity travel within a few hours. 30 years later, in 2018, the country's most dependable mode of travel is set for another significant leap in terms of technology innovation. A new engineless train is ready to hit the tracks for trials on the 29th of this month. It is called Train18 and has been conceptualized, designed and manufactured completely in India. On the show today, we try and understand all about the self-propelled Train18, how it is going to be better than the Shatabdi Express and the future of railways in India. Well, the first trial of Train18 would be conducted on the Bareilly-Moradabad section on the standard railway track to achieve normal speed of 115 kilometers per hour. Later in the second phase, the train would touch 180 kilometers per hour between Kota and Savai Madhopur stretch, while the final would be on New Delhi-Bhopal section via Agra. Following the trials, it is expected to replace the current fastest train, the Shatabdi Express, on the Delhi-Bhopal route. Significantly, the final destination of the Delhi-Bhopal Shatabdi Express is Habibganj, the first Indian railway station that is being developed as a world-class transit hub. In all probability, by January 2019, India's first world-class semi-high-speed train will take passengers to India's first world-class railway station at Habibganj. Indian Railways is set to usher in a new era with its first made-in-India engineless train named Train18. Also known as T18, the train will hit the tracks for trials on 29 October. Being regarded as a successor to the 30-year-old Shatabdi Express, Train18 will be driven by a self-propulsion module without a separate locomotive. It is capable of running at a speed of up to 160 kilometers per hour and comes with technical features for enhanced quick acceleration. The plush 16-coach train without a locomotive is set to cut travel time by 15% compared to the Shatabdi train. The train has been developed by Chennai-based Integral Coach Factory in 18 months as against the industry norm of about 3 to 4 years. Hence the name Train18.
That because the motors are in all the axles, you won't feel that shuttling jerks when the train used to stop and used to start. Tuck, we used to get a jerk. So in this train, those won't be there. Second is, the acceleration and deceleration will be very fast. It will quickly come to a stop and quickly gain the speed. So the time loss because of intervening stoppages will be very low. It's only going to be a chair car type of train. They are not proposing sleepers. So I think all Shatabdis will be replaced. So this will give a certainly more better comfort and ambience because of the power being distributed and acceleration being quick.
The prototype of the train cost nearly 100 crore rupees to build. A second rake would be ready by March, with costs expected to reduce as more rakes are manufactured. The train set has aerodynamically designed driver cabins at both the ends for a quicker turnaround at destinations. The train sports an advanced regenerative braking system which saves power. The fully air-conditioned train offers better passenger comfort and safety as all the equipment are fixed under the carriage or coach so that more space is available on board. It has 2 executive compartments in the middle with 52 seats each, whereas trailer coaches would have 78 seats each. In the executive class, the seats are rotatable to match the train's direction. On the safety front, a train management system in the driver's cab will ensure precise brake control and automated control of the doors. The coach doors will open only when the train is at 0 kilometers per hour, and the train will start only when all the coach doors are properly closed. The train will have automated sliding steps, avoiding the risk of a passenger falling. CCTV cameras on both sides of the driving cab would help the driver to monitor the movement of passengers on the platform before closing the doors and setting off. There are emergency talkback units through which passengers can talk to the crew in case of emergency. The train set has been designed in such a way that passengers can have a look at the driver's cabin. Besides, the train also has 2 disabled-friendly toilets, space for baby care and special pantry units.
It's like metro. Metro also, you don't have a separate engine. You have a driving cabin. You have a driver, he sees the signal and he sees the obstruction, track pe koi nahi hai, that kind of thing. So, this is like that. Only difference is the local trains and the metro trains, they operate within a limited sphere, within a very controlled environment. Now, for the first time, we are operating a train with distributed power, where there is no locomotive, across the country. So, we have to have more robust and user-friendly technology, more reliable technology, more vandal-proof technology, so that to ensure that en route it doesn't go bad.
Over its life cycle, Train18 will not just be a more effective way of travelling at lesser cost, but also a greener mode of transport with no requirement of locomotives for hauling. Its developers claim there will be a saving of around 20% in terms of life cycle cost with Train18 as compared to Shatabdi Express. Train18 will require very less maintenance compared to the locomotive-hauled Shatabdi Express due to its 3-phase propulsion system and new generation bogies. The weight of Train18 is also considerably less, since no locomotives or power cars are required, and that's why the net energy required is less.
If you say, I have 1 lakh kilometer of track, if you say the entire track is ready, certainly. Nobody will say that we can run this train anywhere and everywhere. But we have certain routes where we maintain to a much higher level of accuracy than the general routes, which we call Rajdhani Shatabdi routes. So, Rajdhani Shatabdi routes, because maintenance is better, and I hope this is being proposed to be operated only on those routes. As I have heard that it is first will be from Delhi to Bhopal, which is Shatabdi route, fastest route, this thing. So, their track maintenance is good. So, to that extent it is ready.
Once approved for operation, Train18 would be first used between New Delhi and Bhopal to replace the current Shatabdi Express. Later, it would also likely replace the Chennai-Bengaluru, Mumbai-Ahemdabad, New Delhi-Lucknow and New Delhi-Amritsar Shatabdi trains. The Integral Coach Factory is also planning to launch Train20 that will have an aluminium body in the year 2020. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. And time for a short break on the program. We'll be right back. Do stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching In Depth. The Indian Railways is one of the largest and the oldest railway networks in the world, and it is undertaking several initiatives to upgrade its infrastructure and quality of service even further. The Railway Ministry has in fact announced plans to invest over 9 lakh crore rupees to upgrade the railways by the year 2020. In the pipeline are the bullet train, engineless train 18 and 20 and the most ambitious hyperloop pods.
The Indian Railways' vision is to be a key driver of India's growth and development. In recent years, India has taken major steps in rehauling its age-old railway infrastructure, and the way India travels is about to change. India's ambitious Japan-backed Mumbai-Ahemdabad bullet train project costing $17 billion is expected to be constructed by August 2022. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Japanese counterpart Shinzo Abe launched work on the bullet train on September 14, 2017. The train will run at a maximum speed of 350 km per hour and will cover the 508 km stretch in under 3 hours, beating the present travel time of 7 hours. The train will halt at 12 stations for 165 seconds each. The proposed corridor will start from the Bandra Kurla complex in Mumbai and end near the Sabarmati railway station in Ahmedabad. The railways will run 35 bullet trains when it starts operations with about 70 trips per day. It plans to increase the number to 105 trains by 2050. Around 1.6 crore people are expected to travel by the train every year. According to the government, by 2050, around 1.6 lakh commuters will travel by the high-speed train on any given day.
The bullet train has to be really foolproof. So there are large number of instrumentation and monitoring systems in the bullet train, first level of safety, second level of safety, third level of safety, to ensure that nothing can go wrong. And that's why such a high cost, but at 300 kmph. So in bullet train, there has to be a system that there is no trespass. If there is a trespass, train will not operate. There has to be a system that even if the weather is bad, good or indifferent, the visibility of signal is not important. He will get a signal inside the train. There is a system that if driver is totally careless, then also train will stop on its own, because there is an automatic train stop there in the system. So that is a bullet train.
No, there is a fundamental difference. For bullet train, we require dedicated track. You understand dedicated track, that only bullet train with 200 speed, that will be. And now that is now the under consideration is from Ahmedabad to Mumbai, and likely if everything goes well 2022 it will start. So for that we have to acquire land, dedicated quarter, and Japan is helping in that. So on that track only bullet train will run. Time will be reduced, that will take only 2 hours, 3 hours. So here there is not much improvement is required, except some track and some signaling facilities.
Indian Railways is also working on a project to manufacture world-class engineless train sets for overnight long-distance journeys, and if ambitious, Indian Railways will soon have a better version of the T18, the Train20. Railways intends to launch a superior make-in-India self-propelled and semi-high-speed trains for Indian rail tracks with foreign collaborators. Codenamed Train20 and with the aim of launching by 2020, these 160 km per hour modern trains will be reportedly manufactured at the integrated coach factory. These trains may operate on the Delhi-Mumbai and other major metro routes. Approximately budgeted at a whopping 2,500 crore rupees, it is undoubtedly one of the most ambitious Make in India projects. Encompassing 14 train sets, with each having 20 regular and 11 spare coaches, a total of 291 coaches will be manufactured under the order for Indian Railways. India has already invited bids to get forward with the ambitious project. The contract will cover design, development, manufacturing, testing as well as the commissioning of train sets. With an exception of the first 2-3 coaches that will be shipped from abroad, the remaining rakes are to be built entirely at ICF. The new coaches are expected to be a lot safer and adaptable enough for every new technology to seamlessly blend in. The Indian Railways is gearing up to offer its passengers a world-class experience by 2020. Virgin Hyperloop One, the futuristic transportation company backed by the British tycoon Richard Branson, is willing to build a network of high-speed pods that can carry people and cargo across India. The Mumbai-Pune Hyperloop is a proposed 1,000 km per hour Hyperloop system that will take 14 minutes compared to the current 3 hours to commute between the two cities. The route is found feasible and can be made operational by 2026 as per the detailed project report submitted to the Pune Metropolitan Region Development Authority by Virgin Hyperloop Company in January 2018. Commuters and cargo will travel in pods traveling in the near vacuum tubes. DPR provided 3 feasible terminal endpoint options in Mumbai, Dadar, Santa Cruz and the International Airport. The Los Angeles-based company has been working on a technology that uses magnetic levitation and low-pressure tubes to achieve airplane-like speeds. However, the project in India is still years from getting started and will require the successful completion of several phases before construction on the final track gets underway. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And let's now take you through the journey of Indian Railways. The operation of railways in India was conceived by the British, initially for industrial purposes such as carrying building material to the construction sites. India's first Red Hill Railway ran in 1837 for this purpose. 16 years later, India's first passenger train chugged between Mumbai and Thane, carrying 400 passengers in 1853. Today, Indian Railways is one of the world's largest railway networks in the world, with 20 million people travelling every day on an average. We leave you with this report that tells you about the history and heritage of Indian Railways. Thanks very much for your time.
Indian Railways has the largest rail network in Asia and the world's second largest rail network under one management. With a huge workforce of about 1.65 million, it runs around 11,000 trains every day, including 7,000 passenger trains. As early as 1843, Lord Dalhousie had first conceived the possibility of connecting India by means of railway communication. He had proposed to link the three ports of Bombay, Calcutta and Madras by railway. India's first railway proposal for industrial purpose was made in 1832. 5 years later, the Red Hill Railway, the country's first train, ran from Red Hills to Chintadripet Bridge in Madras in 1837. Like many early railways, it was built for the carriage of minerals, and in this case it was primarily used to transport granite stone for road building work in Madras. The credit for building India's first railways goes to a British general and irrigation engineer, Arthur Cotton, and it remained functional till 1841. Around 1844, Arthur Cotton was given charge of irrigation works on the Godavari River in Andhra Pradesh. One part of this work was in Rajamundry district, where a dam was built over the Godavari River to irrigate the Godavari Delta. Cotton used his previous experience on the project and used a railway in 1845 to transport stone and other building material. The project was completed in 1852, and it is assumed that the railway was dismantled on completion. On 8th May 1845, the Madras Railway was incorporated, followed by the East India Railway in 1846. 3 years later, the Great Indian Peninsular Railway was incorporated by an Act of Parliament in 1849. In 1851, the Solani Aqueduct Railway was built in Roorkee in order to support the large-scale irrigation project across the Ganga Canal. The total length of the railway in use then was nearly 12 kilometers, and this line is known to be the first to use a locomotive in India. India's first passenger train ran between Bombay and Thane on 16th April 1853. It pulled out of Boribandar station in Bombay and travelled only 34 kilometers in an hour and a half. The train was pulled with a 21-gun salute by 3 engines and carried as many as 400 passengers in its 14 coaches on its debut run. The train was built and operated by the Great Indian Peninsula Railway. On August 15, 1854, the first passenger train in the eastern section operated from Howrah to Hooghly for 38 kilometers. South India's first passenger train ran from Royapuram via Sarapadi in Madras to Valaja Road in Arcot, a distance of 97 kilometers on 1st July 1856. In the north, the first train ran between Allahabad and Kanpur, a distance of 180 kilometers on March 3, 1859, 6 years after the very first passenger train in the country.
Starts from 1853, it started with Bombay to Thane. You know, different phases of improvements are there. And if I recollect, then 1857 war, the first war of independence, we lost, or in other words, British won because of the communication. It is one communication of telegraphic and one was transport, because they were able to transport their the soldiers easily. And thereafter there has been an expansion, but Britishers did this expansion for sake of Indians, but they wanted that their the raw material or their the textile prepared in Lancashire, that should reach to every corner of this country. And not only that, to have a better hold on Indian continent, They started. And they did very well. I think when we got independence, China and India, we have almost the same track.
India's first train was built in 1676 mm broad gauge, which became the country's standard for railways. The uniformity of gauge was maintained till 1862. Later on, Lord Mayo, then Viceroy of India, encouraged the building of meter gauge lines. By 1889, the mileage of different gauges was broad gauge, meter gauge and narrow gauge. Today, India has 4 major gauges, broad, meter and 2 narrow gauges. In 1925, the government presented India's first rail budget to the Legislative Assembly. On 3rd February 1925, the first electric passenger train in India ran between Victoria Terminus and Kurla. In 1939, during the Second World War, Indian Railways locomotives, wagons and track material were ruthlessly dismantled and taken from India to the Middle East. In 1947, the British quit India, dividing the nation into 2 countries, India and Pakistan. As a country was divided, so was its railway system. 2 big railway systems, Bengal-Assam Railway and the North Western Railway, were broken up. The reorganization of railways in India into regional zones began in 1951. Railways was divided into 6 zones to get things organized. On March 31, 1978, the railways were split into 9 zones. The Northern Zone with its headquarters at Delhi, the Northeastern Zone with its headquarters at Gorakhpur, the Northeastern Frontier with its headquarters at Maligaon in Guwahati, the Eastern Zone and Southeastern Zone with its headquarters in Kolkata, the South Central Zone with its head offices at Secunderabad, the Southern Zone at Chennai, and the Central and Western Railways with their administrative headquarters at CST and Churchgate. Today, the Indian Railways are divided into 9 zones and 59 divisions. India's first metro train ran from Esplanade to the Netaji Bhavan station in Kolkata on 24 October 1984. Gatiman Express, India's fastest train with a maximum speed of 160 km per hour, made its maiden journey from Delhi to Agra on 5th April 2016. On 31st March 2017, Indian Railways announced that India's entire rail network would be electrified by 2022. Indian Railways, which had a modest beginning in 1853, has since turned into a network that has held together a population of over 1.2 billion people. With India's rail network connected to neighbouring Pakistan, Bangladesh and Nepal as well, the Indian Railways has also woven a subcontinent together. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.